Welcome back to my channel. As regular followers of my channel know, I repeatedly documented Mykkie from Mike's Philippine Journey channel misrepresenting what others say in order to attack them or even call them liars for something they never said. But how twisted does a person have to be to call someone a liar when the person they're accusing is saying the same thing Mykkie says? Well, I can't answer that question, but I can document that Mykkie has done it. Let's begin with this statement, which starts off with Mykkie reading a comment from link 1111.
Yo, Mike, I'm asking the question due to Filipino P saying once that black men are not preferred on one of our videos. That shocked me also. Rubeauty also said this, but look at the changes going on now. That's because the Filipina P is a lying bitch, is what she is, man. Come on, man. It's their preference. Bullshit. In the end, a man is judged not because of what he looks like, but a man is mostly judged by what he can give and provide and provisions. Plenty of Filipinas are with African American men. It's been fucking happening since the 1940s, right? But hey, what the fuck do I know?
Well, obviously Mykkie doesn't know what the Filipina P has been saying, or else he does know and is simply lying again. Let's list Mykkie's claims and insinuations so far. First, that P is lying that Filipinas are unwilling to date black men. Second, that P saying skin color is a preference is bullshit. And third, that men are judged mostly by what they can provide. Consider those last two. In my videos, I've documented Mykkie saying skin color was a preference, and he has said Filipinos prefer lighter skin, even saying many Filipinos with darker skin get teased by family and friends, and it can greatly affect their self-esteem and cause problems. But this time skin color isn't a preference? As for what men provide, while it is a major preference for a woman to choose someone who can provide for them, that doesn't take away all other preferences. And in a society that prefers lighter skin, it is perfectly logical that Filipinos would have that preference in the interest of the children they will have. Also, preferences don't mean people don't make lots of exceptions. I have a preference for girls with dark hair, but I also dated others quite happily. That's kind of how preferences work. They aren't absolutes. Mykkie likes to present such silly arguments. That is, take something that is true, but then act like it means other factors don't apply. It's like when I pointed out Stalin used a paper shortage as a way to censor unfriendly media in the USSR. Mykkie forcefully declared, Stalin killed people. Sure did, but he also used the paper shortage to censor. One does not cancel the other, no matter how much Mykkie hopes he can convince you otherwise. Now, before addressing that first claim about P supposedly lying about Filipinos' willingness to date black men, let's listen to some more from Mykkie.
I just know a whole variety of men of different color skin married to Filipinas. I've gone to the Philippines with majority black men partying. I don't see them having any problems meeting Filipinas.
He's obviously implying his view is contrary to what P says. So when Mykkie says he has been there with black men and they don't have any problem meeting Filipinas, it can only mean he thinks P is saying black men do have a problem with that. Funny thing, but if you actually listen to what P said in her video on this very subject, what she said about Filipinos' willingness to date black men is pretty much exactly the same as what Mykkie said, except she goes deeper into the details and gives more balance. Which is why I said that Mykkie may call you a liar if he doesn't like you, even when you agree with him. Let's look at what P said.
When the locals here choose a lighter-skinned woman, it's not a racial thing, it's a beauty preference thing. And it doesn't just affect what you see on TV commercials and the products on grocery store shelves. It even affects your employment options, with the best jobs often going to those with the lightest skin. In the Philippines, there aren't as many laws that prohibit companies from hiring on any basis they want. You'll often see help wanted signs that say, only attractive young females with 20 to 25 years old may apply. So it's no wonder that people whiten their skin in order to have more options for employment.
That's nicely framing the issue, because Filipinos do have a general tendency to consider lighter skin to be more beautiful. Remember, Mykkie has also said lighter skin is preferred and even said darker skinned girls can get ridicule even from family and friends, leading to problems down the road with relationships. But it goes deeper than that, and P addresses this as well. The preference isn't just affecting dating choices, but the opportunities for jobs. This being the reality, doesn't it therefore make sense that, regardless of the Filipina's personal views, she is going to be making decisions based partly on how her children may be affected? This framework also gives us a better understanding of what follows.
And that brings me to the question I've often been asked by darker-skinned foreigners. Given the obsession with light skin, are Filipinas still attracted to them?
P then reads a message from a Black American who has concerns.
Dear P, I am a Black American currently living in Manila. Back in the US, I get more attention and dates than most of the guys who come here. I've been around the world and never had a problem. But the Filipinas who show interest in me are those one with lots of kids, no job, or not well educated. I'm hardworking, have a good US job, and I respect all women. I'm just wondering why, if financial security is the most important thing to a Filipina, they would choose a fat retired white guy over a man that is considered attractive and has a good job? Signed, Andrew.
Now we get into P's opinion on the issue of Filipinas' willingness to date Black men. It does start with a bit of negativity.
Many of the higher class Filipinas that come from upper class families may not want to date you. Now, most Filipinos don't have a problem with Black guys themselves, but if they're looking to have children and raising them here, they know the reality of the situation. A darker-skinned child is going to have a harder time in this culture, finding a good job and eventually a high-status mate of their own.
This is why that framework P presented is so important. And it makes perfect sense. If lighter skin is an advantage in dating opportunities and getting jobs, isn't a Filipina going to keep that in mind when it comes to children, and thus who she will marry? Someday, maybe that will change, but they will make decisions based on what they see now. It doesn't mean they rule out Black men, but it certainly adds an obstacle based on preferences, because they want their children to have the best chance for success they can. And if the Filipina comes from a higher status family, well, human nature is such that those people tend to be very protective of that status. By the way, while I didn't include the quote here, P also points out that these upper-class families are less likely to date older Westerners as well. Related to this, P then explains why certain groups of women would be especially open to dating Black men or older white men, and reiterates the challenge of the higher-tier women. The cultural framework explains both.
That's why women who already have a lot of kids or who don't have economic security are the ones who will show you the most interest. She's dealing with the reality of the world she lives in. Women of higher status from families with wealth, power, or fame are more likely to reject a suitor with darker skin. As always here, it's about what looks best for the family, and lighter skin implies higher status. It is the way it is here.
Of course, keep in mind that there is likely a noteworthy difference between rejecting certain suitors and not even dating someone. So when it comes to the partying situations Mykkie refers to, the preferences probably have less impact. I've made this point before. People adjust to what is available. It reminds me of something Andrew Tate said when asked if he could have a good relationship with someone like a bar girl. He said he could, but then added, "But why should I?" That's the thing. A man like Tate has far more options, so why go for the bar girl? Same for higher level Filipinas. They could date older men, and that may be just fine, but they have more options, so usually they don't. Same for color. If you have more choices and live in a society that prefers lighter skin, you will be less open to men with darker skin. P then moves on to the good news for Black men.
Now that's the bad news, but here's the good news. I myself don't come from a high-class family. In fact, My parents didn't receive a lot of education and my family is quite poor. But one of my family members is happily married to a Black American and they just had their first child. So once again, it's not that you won't be able to find good mates here, but the top tier women as far as family name, wealth, and power may not be easily available to you.
So lots of Filipinas who will be interested in Black men. They may be less likely to be from prestigious families, but that doesn't mean they aren't good mates. P continues.
Now they say that there's an almost infinite number of Filipinas to choose from here. So even if you exclude the 10% who won't be interested in dating you, that still leaves you 90% of infinity, which is still infinity. Black foreigners who come here aren't going to have trouble finding women, and that majority of Filipinas will be just as interested in you as they are anyone else.
Of course, P is just kidding about the infinity reference, but her main point is that most Filipinas are willing to date Black men. She has also done a number of interviews with other Filipinas who also said they would be willing to do so. Finally, P gives her personal view about dating Black men when answering a question.
Would you date a Black foreigner? Yes. I'm not hung up on the whole skin color thing. It's about the person, not about the race. There's no race or ethnicity I wouldn't consider dating. So yeah, I actually think they're attractive. So
Time for the all-important summary and how the facts of what P actually said compared to the claims Mykkie made in calling P a liar. Mykkie said he knew Black men married to Filipinas. P said she had a family member married to a Black man. Mykkie said he partied with Black men and they didn't have a problem meeting Filipinas. P said the vast majority of Filipinas would be willing to date Black men. P also interviewed Filipinas who said they date Black men. And finally, P says she'd be willing to date a Black man herself, which is something I hope Mykkie would never say. Here's the thing, when you actually pay attention, both Mykkie and P were saying the same thing. Yet in spite of agreement, Mykkie called P a liar. That's just twisted, but it's what hate can do to a person, especially a weak man. I wonder how long it will take for Mykkie to apologize for his attack. He has said he can admit when he is wrong, though actually doing it seems to be a problem. Feel free to make an office pool about it. Let's look at more absurdities from Mykkie. How about some bigotry?
It's because a Filipina P deals with a bunch of fucking old white men, pathetic beta male men. Who wants to hear that bullshit?
So bigoted against old white men and beta men, even though, pretty much by definition, most men are betas. And if someone is an old white man, the only alternative would be if they died before they got old. I prefer a long life. Or how about this bigotry?
But that's the thing. Filipina P and Rue Beauty, they not the true Filipinas.
It's bigotry to call full-blooded Filipinas as not being true Filipinas. We have this problem in the U.S. too, where people who claim not to be bigoted declare that members of a given race or ethnicity or sex must all believe the same things or vote a certain way, or they aren't real or true. It's a stay on the plantation attitude. Fact is, whites aren't the only race whose members hold a wide variety of different opinions. Thanks for watching, and don't let the trolls stop you from speaking out.